Did you ever think about hanging around dinosaurs? It's a terrible idea. You wouldn't last a few hours, believe me. I'm Nicole, and tonight we're traveling back to prehistoric times to meet these beautiful, yet monstrous, dangerous, and downright lethal creatures. Don't be afraid to drift off to sleep while you listen. The screen will go dark soon. And now, jump into your time machine, buckle up, set the destination to 150 million years ago. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and press launch. You step out of your time machine and immediately regret every life choice that led you to this moment. Nothing exists here except you and a world full of creatures perfectly evolved to turn you into lunch. The air hits you like a wet blanket. Hot, humid, and absolutely suffocating. Welcome to the Jurassic period, where the weather forecast is always oppressively tropical with a chance of being eaten alive. The humidity is making your clothes stick to your skin in places you didn't know clothes could stick. Here, your options are sweat or sweat more. You need water. You're eyeing that stream with suspicion. Is it safe to drink? Who knows what prehistoric microbes are swimming around in there, just waiting to give you the world's first and worst case of dysentery. But your thirst wins out, and you cautiously approach the water's edge. That's when you hear a sound that makes your blood freeze despite the tropical heat. A rustle in the ferns behind you. Something big is moving your way, and whatever is making that sound probably has teeth the size of steak knives. Through the dense foliage emerges an ankylosaur. You exhale in relief. This tank-like dinosaur is a herbivore, covered in bony plates and sporting a massive club tail. It's the biological equivalent of a walking tank, reaching up to 20 feet long and weighing several tons. While it's not interested in eating you, you're still careful not to startle it. That tail club could easily shatter your bones if it felt threatened. The ankylosaur barely notices you as it munches on low-growing ferns. Its armor plating, which evolved as a defense against predators like Allosaurus, makes it look like a prehistoric armored personnel carrier. You watch in fascination as it uses its small, peg-like teeth to strip vegetation. In your time, you just order a salad and complain that the restaurant forgot your dressing. This creature spends its entire day eating just to sustain its massive body. As the ankylosaur moves on, you realize you need to find shelter before nightfall. In the modern world, you would probably just check into a hotel. Here, your accommodation options are limited and exposed to predators. You spot a rocky outcropping that might provide some protection and head toward it. The ground beneath your feet feels strange. This is wild earth, untouched by human landscaping or development. The plants around you are alien to no flowering plants exist yet. Instead, the landscape is dominated by conifers, cycads, ginkgos, and ferns. It's like walking through the world's most dangerous botanical garden. As you make your way to the rocks, you spot a group of stegosaurs in the distance. These bizarre-looking dinosaurs, with their double row of plates along their backs and spiked tails, are grazing peacefully. Each one is about the size of a bus, reaching lengths of up to 30 feet, though their brains are roughly the size of a walnut. Evolution really went all in on defense with these creatures and skimped on the processing power. The plates along their backs aren't just for show, they're filled with blood vessels and likely used for temperature regulation, like prehistoric solar panels. In your time, you just adjust the thermostat. These dinosaurs had to evolve specialized body parts just to keep from overheating. The spikes on their tails, called thagomizers, yes, That's the actual scientific term, named after a Far Side cartoon, could deliver a deadly blow to any predator foolish enough to attack from behind. You're startled by a shadow passing overhead. Looking up, you see the distinctive silhouette of a pterosaur gliding above. Though not technically dinosaurs, these flying reptiles ruled the Jurassic skies. This one has a wingspan of about 20 feet wider than your entire living room back home. While modern birds evolved from small, feathered dinosaurs, pterosaurs were a separate lineage of reptiles that evolved flight independently. The pterosaur circles once, perhaps curious about the strange bipedal mammal that's you wandering through its territory before soaring off toward the horizon. You watch it go with a mixture of awe and envy. If only you could fly away from this dangerous place so easily. Your stomach growls, reminding you that you haven't eaten since breakfast, which was technically about 150 million years in the future. In your time, you just order delivery or microwave something. Here, you're going to have to work for your meal, but what's safe to eat? The fruits and berries you're familiar with don't exist yet. The plants around you might be nutritious or might be toxic. There's no way to know without risking it. You consider hunting, but quickly dismiss the idea. You have no weapons, and even the smallest dinosaurs could outrun, outfight, and outmaneuver you. You're not at the top of the food chain anymore, you're barely on it at all. As you ponder your food situation, you notice a small stream with what looks like fish. Fishing might be your best option. You fashion a crude spear from a fallen branch, sharpen the end with a rock, and approach the water cautiously. The fish here are primitive by your standards, but they're still recognizably fish. After several embarrassing attempts, which would definitely have gone viral if anyone were around to film them, you manage to spear a fish. Now you need fire. In your time, you just turn a knob on your stove or flick a lighter. Here, you're rubbing sticks together like you're in a survival reality show, except the stakes are actual life and death. The humidity isn't helping, everything is damp. After an hour of frustration, you manage to create a small flame, which you nurture carefully into a fire. As you cook your fish over the fire, you reflect on how much work went into this single meal. No wonder prehistoric humans spent most of their time just securing food. You've gained a new appreciation for the convenience of grocery stores and restaurants. Night falls quickly, and the Jurassic takes on a whole new character in the darkness. Strange calls echo through the forest, some high and bird-like, others deep and rumbling. Your fire provides a small circle of light, but beyond that is pure, primal darkness. No streetlights, no headlights, no light pollution, just the stars above, which form unfamiliar patterns due to the Earth's different position 150 million years ago. You try to sleep, but every sound jolts you awake. Was that just the wind, or is a ceratosaurus stalking you? These predatory dinosaurs, with their distinctive horns and teeth designed for slicing flesh, hunt primarily at night. Growing up to 20 feet long and weighing over a ton, they're perfectly capable of seeing you as an exotic midnight snack. Somehow, you manage to doze off, only to be awakened by the ground literally shaking beneath you. Dawn has broken, and a herd of titanosaurs is passing nearby. These sauropods are the largest land animals to ever exist, with the biggest specimens reaching lengths of over 100 feet and weights of 70 tons. Each footstep is an earthquake. Each tail swish a potential disaster for anything in its path. The titanosaurs, move with surprising grace for creatures their size, their long necks allowing them to reach high into the canopy to feed on vegetation that other dinosaurs can't access. Their massive columnar legs, like the pillars of a cathedral, support their enormous weight. In your time, buildings that size would require architectural plans, construction crews, and building permits. These animals grew to these dimensions naturally, pushing the very limits of what terrestrial biology allows. You watch in awe as the herd passes, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Trees are stripped of their foliage, smaller plants are trampled flat, and the ground is churned into mud by their massive feet. It's like watching a fleet of living skyscrapers on the move. Once the titanosaurs have passed, you decide it's time to explore further. Your rocky shelter has served you well for one night, but you need to find a more sustainable situation if you're going to survive here for any length of time. You head toward what looks like a clearing, hoping for a better view of your surroundings. As you emerge from the forest, you're greeted by a vast plain dotted with dinosaurs of various species. It's like an African savanna on steroids, with creatures that make elephants look like house pets. A group of iguanodontians catches your eye. These large herbivores, standing between 10 and 30 feet tall depending on the species, are moving together in what appears to be a coordinated herd. Unlike the four-legged sauropods, these dinosaurs can switch between bipedal and quadrupedal stances, giving them flexibility in movement and feeding. What's most striking about the iguanodontians are their hands. While their fifth finger is a flexible digit for grasping vegetation, their thumb has evolved into a spike, presumably for defense. It's like having a built-in dagger, quite handy in a world where nearly everything is trying to eat you. In your time, you just carry pepper spray or avoid dangerous neighborhoods. Here, evolution has equipped these creatures with weapons attached to their bodies. As you watch the iguanodontians graze, you notice something moving stealthily through the tall grass toward them. A pack of Allosaurus, the apex predators of the Jurassic period. Each one stands about 15 feet tall, with a massive head full of serrated teeth designed for one purpose: tearing flesh. You duck down instinctively, though you're far enough away to be safe for now. The Allosaurus move with coordinated precision that reminds you of wolves. But these wolves weigh 5 tons each and have jaws that can snap bones like twigs. Their arms, unlike the comically small limbs of later tyrannosaurs, are powerful and tipped with 3-fingered hands, each finger ending in a curved claw perfect for gripping struggling prey. The iguanodontians spot the predators and form a defensive circle, with the largest individuals on the outside and the younger ones protected in the center. It's a strategy that prey animals in your time still use. Some things about survival are so effective they remain unchanged for millions of years. The Allosaurus test the defenses, looking for weakness, but the iguanodontians stand their ground, thumb spikes at the ready. After several tense minutes, the predators retreat, unwilling to risk injury for a meal that might fight back. They'll find easier prey elsewhere. You breathe a sigh of relief, having witnessed a prehistoric standoff without becoming collateral damage. But the encounter reminds you of your extreme vulnerability in this environment. In your time, the most dangerous predator you might encounter is another human. Here, you're surrounded by creatures that have evolved specifically to hunt, kill, and consume other animals. The sun is high now, and the heat is becoming unbearable. You need to find water and shade before you succumb to heat stroke. In your time, you just turn on the air conditioning or grab a cold drink from the refrigerator. Here, your options for cooling down are limited to finding natural shade and hoping for a breeze. You spot a small lake in the distance and make your way toward it, staying within the tree line as much as possible for protection. As you approach the water, you scan carefully for predators. Water sources are gathering points for all kinds of animals, including the ones that might see you as food. The lake appears safe, so you kneel at the edge to drink and refill the crude water container you fashioned from a gourd-like plant. As you do, you notice strange tracks in the mud, three-toed footprints larger than dinner plates. Hadrosaurs have been here recently. These duck-billed dinosaurs are among the most successful herbivores of the late Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. Some species sport elaborate crests on their heads, which likely served as visual displays for attracting mates and recognizing members of their own species, prehistoric peacocking, if you will. In your time, humans do the same thing with expensive cars and designer clothes. You're startled by a loud splash from the center of the lake. Something large is surfacing something that doesn't look like a dinosaur at all. It's a plesiosaur, a marine reptile with a long neck, small head, and 4 powerful flipper-like limbs. Though not dinosaurs, these creatures shared the Jurassic world, dominating the aquatic environments just as dinosaurs ruled the land. The plesiosaur eyes you curiously before diving back beneath the surface. You're reminded that the dangers in this world aren't limited to dry land. The waters have their own predators, equally alien and equally deadly to a time-traveling human. After drinking your fill and replenishing your water supply, you continue exploring, keeping alert for any signs of danger. The landscape changes as you walk, transitioning from forest to a more open, fern-covered plain. In the distance, you can see a group of pachycephalosaurs engaged in what appears to be a head-butting contest. These bizarre dinosaurs have evolved thick, domed skulls up to 10 inches thick, which they use in combat with each other, likely for mating rights or territory. It's like watching prehistoric bighorn sheep, except these creatures are 15 feet long and weigh over a ton. The sound of their skulls colliding echoes across the plain like thunder. You give the pachycephalosaurs a wide berth while they're not predators. Those reinforced skulls could easily crack your much more fragile human cranium if they perceived you as a threat. In your time, dangerous animals are kept in zoos behind protective barriers. Here, you're the one who needs to stay behind barriers. As the day progresses, you witness more of the Jurassic's incredible diversity. A flock of pterosaurs takes flight from a cliff face, their leathery wings creating shadows that dance across the landscape. A pair of stegosaurs engages in a courtship display, their plates flushing with color as blood flows through the vessels within them. You even spot a small, feathered creature darting through the underbrush, one of the early bird-like dinosaurs that would eventually give rise to modern birds. It's no bigger than a chicken, but moves with the agility of a squirrel, climbing and jumping between branches with ease. As evening approaches, you need to find shelter for another night. Your previous rocky outcropping is too far away to reach before dark, so you look for alternatives. You spot a small cave in a hillside that might serve your purpose, but approaching it reveals fresh claw marks around the entrance. Something is already using this as a den, and you have no desire to meet the occupant. Instead, you climb a sturdy-looking conifer tree, settling into a fork between two large branches about 20 feet off the ground. It's not comfortable, but it should keep you safe from most ground-dwelling predators. In your time, you'd be sleeping on a memory foam mattress with climate control and a white noise machine. Here, you're perched in a tree like a nervous primate, which, to be fair, is exactly what you are. From your elevated position, you watch the Jurassic World transition from day to night. The herbivores seek out safe places to rest, while the nocturnal hunters begin to stir. You spot the glowing eyes of a small pack of Ceratosaurus moving through the darkness below, and you're grateful for your arboreal accommodation. Sleep comes fitfully, interrupted by unfamiliar sounds and the constant fear of falling. You dream of pizza delivery and hot showers luxuries that might as well be science fiction from your current perspective. Dawn brings a new set of challenges. You're stiff from your night in the tree, hungry, and increasingly aware of your isolation in this prehistoric world. In your time, even when alone, you're connected to others through technology. Here, you're truly, completely alone, the only member of your species on the entire planet. You climb down carefully, checking for predators before your feet touch the ground. Your stomach is growling again, and you need to find food. Yesterday's fishing success gives you confidence, and you head back toward the lake, hoping for a repeat performance. On the way, you pass a clearing where a group of ceratopsians is grazing. These horned dinosaurs, distant relatives of Triceratops, have elaborate frills extending from the back of their skulls and horns protruding from their faces. The frills are likely for display and species recognition, while the horns serve as effective weapons against predators. You watch as a young ceratopsian playfully charges at a fallen log, practicing the defensive moves it will need as an adult. In your time, children play video games to simulate experiences. Here, play is directly connected to survival skills. At the lake, you're successful in spearing another fish, but as you turn to leave, you come face to face with a Dilophosaurus. This predatory dinosaur, standing about 7 feet tall with a distinctive pair of crests on its skull, eyes you with what can only be described as hungry curiosity. Your heart races as you slowly back away. The Dilophosaurus follows, matching your pace. You remember that running often triggers a predator's chase instinct, so you maintain your slow retreat while looking for an escape route. The standoff continues for what feels like an eternity, but is probably only a minute or two. Then, suddenly, a loud bellow from the forest distracts the Dilophosaurus. A herd of sauropods is approaching the lake, and the ground is literally shaking with their footsteps. The predator, deciding that you're not worth the trouble with larger events unfolding, darts back into the underbrush. You exhale in relief, having narrowly avoided becoming Jurassic fast food. The approaching sauropods are Brachiosaurus, with their distinctive long necks and front legs that are longer than their hind legs, giving them a giraffe-like posture. Each one stands over 40 feet tall, taller than a 4-story building, and weighs around 50 tons. They move with a slow, deliberate grace, their tiny heads perched atop those enormous necks, swaying gently with each step. As they reach the lake, they extend their necks to drink, creating an image straight out of a natural history museum diorama. You take advantage of the distraction to slip away, fish in hand, to find a safe place to cook your meal. As you walk, you reflect on the incredible adaptations these creatures have evolved. The sauropods' long necks allow them to reach vegetation that other herbivores can't access. The ceratopsians' frills and horns provide defense against predators. The Dilophosaurus' speed and agility make it an effective hunter. In your time, humans have largely circumvented the need for physical adaptations through technology. Can't reach something? Use a ladder. Need to defend yourself? Use a weapon. Want to move faster? Drive a car. Here, each creature's body is its technology, refined over millions of years of evolution to suit its specific lifestyle. You find a small clearing to build your fire and cook your fish. The process is getting easier with practice, though you still long for the convenience of a kitchen with running water and refrigeration. As you eat, you notice small, rat-like creatures darting around the edges of your camp, attracted by the smell of food. These are early mammals, the distant ancestors of all modern mammalian species, including humans. They're no larger than squirrels and live primarily in burrows, coming out to feed on insects, seeds, and small reptiles. They survive in the shadow of the dinosaurs by being small, quick, and primarily nocturnal adaptations that would serve mammals well for the entire Mesozoic era. You toss a few scraps of fish to your evolutionary cousins, feeling a kinship with these tiny creatures that would one day inherit the Earth after the dinosaurs' extinction. In your time, mammals dominate the planet. Here, they're just bit players in a reptilian drama. After eating, you decide to explore a different direction, heading toward a range of low hills visible in the distance. The terrain becomes rockier as you approach, with less vegetation and more exposed stone. This change in landscape brings with it a change in dinosaur species. A small herd of Dryosaurus scampers past, moving with the agility of gazelles. These small, bipedal herbivores rely on speed and agility rather than size or armor for protection. They're the Jurassic equivalent of antelopes, filling a similar ecological niche. As you climb higher into the hills, you gain a panoramic view of the landscape below. It's a breathtaking vista of prehistoric wilderness, untouched by human influence. No cities, no roads, no contrails in the sky, just nature in its purest form, operating on the simple principles of survival and reproduction. From your vantage point, you can see herds of different dinosaur species moving across the plains, predators stalking through the forests, and pterosaurs soaring overhead. It's like watching a nature documentary, except there's no narrator explaining what you're seeing and no glass screens separating you from the action. The hills provide not only a good view, but also numerous small caves and overhangs that might serve as more comfortable shelter than your tree branch from the previous night. You investigate several before finding one that seems unoccupied and defensible, a shallow cave with a narrow entrance that you can partially block with stones. As you gather materials to make your new shelter more comfortable, you hear a distinctive sound echoing through the hills, the call of a Parasaurolophus. These hadrosaurs have hollow, tube-like crests extending from the back of their skulls, which they use to produce loud, resonant calls that can travel for miles. You follow the sound and eventually spot a small group of Parasaurolophus near a water source. Their crests, which can be up to 6 feet long, curve elegantly back from their skulls. When they call, they force air through these resonating chambers, creating a sound unlike anything in your time, part trumpet, part whale song. The Parasaurolophus are using their calls to maintain contact with each other as they feed, a prehistoric version of cell phones or walkie-talkies. In your time, you just text someone to find out where they are. These dinosaurs have evolved biological communication systems that serve a similar purpose. As you watch the hadrosaurs, you notice something moving stealthily through the rocks above them, a pack of dromaeosaurs, often called raptors. These predatory dinosaurs, about the size of wolves but far more dangerous, are the evolutionary cousins of modern birds, though they look more like reptilian nightmares. Each dromaeosaur has a large, sickle-shaped claw on each foot, which they use to slash and disembowel prey. They hunt in coordinated packs, using intelligence and teamwork to bring down animals much larger than themselves. In your time, wolves and lions use similar strategies, but they don't have switchblades attached to their feet. The Parasaurolophus detect the threat and begin to flee, their powerful legs carrying their 30-foot bodies with surprising speed. The dromaeosaurs give chase, and you witness a prehistoric hunt in all its brutal efficiency. One Parasaurolophus, perhaps older or weaker than the others, falls behind and is quickly surrounded by the pack. What follows is a stark reminder of the harsh reality of life in the Jurassic. The dromaeosaurs work together to bring down their much larger prey, leaping onto its back and flanks, using their claws and teeth to inflict devastating wounds. It's over quickly, and the predators begin to feed, taking turns tearing chunks of flesh from the carcass. You turn away, disturbed by the violence, yet understanding that this is simply the way of life here. In your time, most people are insulated from the realities of predation, buying their meat neatly packaged in supermarkets. Here, every meal is a life or death struggle, whether you're the hunter or the hunted. You return to your cave as evening approaches, reinforcing the entrance with a crude barrier of stones and branches. It won't stop a determined predator, but it might discourage casual investigation. You've also gathered some dry moss and ferns to create a softer sleeping surface than bare rock. As night falls, a thunderstorm rolls in, illuminating the landscape with flashes of lightning and filling the air with the crash of thunder. Rain pounds down, turning the ground to mud and creating instant streams and waterfalls down the hillsides. In your time, you just close the windows and turn on a movie during a storm. Here, you're huddled in a cave, hoping the lightning doesn't start a forest fire and the rain doesn't flood your shelter. The storm continues through the night, adding a soundtrack of elemental fury to your fitful sleep. By morning, it has passed, leaving behind a transformed landscape. The air feels cleaner, the colors more vibrant, and the activity level of the dinosaurs has increased, as if the storm has energized the entire ecosystem. You emerge from your cave to find the world washed clean by the rain. Water droplets cling to leaves and catch the morning sunlight, turning the forest into a glittering wonderland. In the distance, a rainbow arches across the sky. Some things, at least, are the same in any time period. Your exploration continues, day after day, as you adapt to life in the Jurassic. You become more adept at finding food, identifying which plants are safe to eat by watching what the herbivorous dinosaurs consume. You learn to move quietly through the forest, to read the signs of predator activity, and to find safe places to sleep. One day, you encounter something unexpected: a small group of tyrannosaurs. though not the famous T. rex, which wouldn't evolve until the late Cretaceous period. These are its earlier, smaller relatives. Each stands about 10 feet tall, already showing the characteristic large head, powerful jaws, and reduced forelimbs that would become more pronounced in their descendants. These early tyrannosaurs are more agile than their later relatives, with longer arms and 3-fingered hands instead of the 2-fingered limbs of T. rex. They move with a predatory grace that sends chills down your spine, their eyes scanning the landscape for potential prey. You freeze, hoping they haven't noticed you, but one of the tyrannosaurs turns its head in your direction, nostrils flaring as it catches your unfamiliar scent. In your time, being unique is celebrated. Here, being different just makes you interesting to predators. The tyrannosaur takes a step toward you, its curiosity piqued by this strange bipedal mammal. You back away slowly, maintaining eye contact, your heart pounding in your chest. The predator follows, its movements deliberate and focused. Just when you think you're about to become a prehistoric snack, a herd of stegosaurs appears from the forest nearby. The tyrannosaurs immediately shift their attention to this more substantial potential meal, and you use the distraction to make your escape, ducking into a dense thicket where the larger dinosaurs can't follow. As your heart rate returns to normal, you reflect on how quickly life can change in this world, how thin the line is between safety and danger, between being an observer and being observed. In your time, most dangers come with warnings, regulations, and safety measures. Here, survival depends entirely on your wits, reflexes, and sometimes just plain luck. Weeks pass, and you settle into a routine of sorts. You've established a more permanent shelter in a defensible location, created tools for hunting and gathering, and mapped out the territories of the various predators in your area. You've even given names to some of the individual dinosaurs you see regularly, a parasaurolophus with a distinctive crest pattern you call trumpet, a one-eyed stegosaurus you've dubbed Patch, and a particularly persistent Compsognathus, a chicken-sized predator that keeps trying to steal your food, which you've named Pest. But despite your adaptations, you remain acutely aware of your alienation in this world. You don't belong here, you're a temporal interloper, a biological anachronism. The dinosaurs and other creatures around you are perfectly adapted to this environment through millions of years of evolution. You're just a naked ape with a big brain, trying to survive in a world that wasn't designed for you. One morning, you wake to an unfamiliar sound, a deep rumbling that seems to come from the earth itself. At first, you think it might be distant thunder or a herd of sauropods, but as it continues and intensifies, you realize it's something else entirely. The ground begins to shake, gently at first, then with increasing violence. An earthquake, and a significant one. In your time, you'd know to seek open ground away from buildings and power lines. Here, the danger comes from falling trees, panicking dinosaurs, and potentially landslides or tsunamis if you're near the coast. You leave your shelter and head for a clearing, avoiding the forest where falling branches could crush you. All around, dinosaurs are reacting to the earthquake with varying degrees of alarm. A herd of hadrosaurs trumpets in distress as they run in confusion. Pterosaurs take to the air in massive flocks, their wings darkening the sky like storm clouds. The shaking continues for what feels like an eternity, but is probably only a minute or two. When it finally subsides, the landscape has changed. New cracks have opened in the earth, trees have fallen, and a nearby cliff face has collapsed, revealing a cross-section of sedimentary rock layers, a visual timeline of the region's geological history. As the dust settles, you notice something else in the distance. A column of smoke is rising. The earthquake has triggered volcanic activity, a common occurrence in the tectonically active Jurassic period. In your time, volcanoes are monitored with sophisticated equipment, and eruptions often come with evacuation warnings. Here, you're on your own to recognize and respond to the danger. The volcano doesn't appear to be close enough to pose an immediate threat, but you know that can change if the eruption intensifies or the wind shifts, bringing ash and toxic gases in your direction. You decide to move away from the volcano, heading in the opposite direction from the smoke plume. As you travel, you encounter more evidence of the earthquake's impact. A river has been dammed by fallen trees and debris, creating a new lake. A herd of stegosaurs is gathered around the fresh water source, their plates aligned like solar panels to absorb the morning sun's warmth. You also discover that part of the hillside where your cave was located has collapsed, destroying your shelter and all the tools and supplies you had accumulated. In your time, you'd have insurance to cover such losses. Here, you're back to square one with only what you're carrying. The setback is disheartening, but you've learned enough about survival in this world to start over. You find a new location for a shelter, gather materials for tools, and begin the process of rebuilding your primitive life. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. You mark the passage of time by notching a prehistoric calendar. Your body has changed, becoming leaner and stronger, your senses sharper. Your clothes have deteriorated to rags, supplemented by crude garments you've fashioned from plant fibers, and, reluctantly, the skin of a small dinosaur you found already dead. You've witnessed the changing of seasons in the Jurassic, not as pronounced as in your time due to the warmer global climate, but noticeable in subtle shifts in vegetation, animal behavior, and weather patterns. You've survived storms, predator encounters, injuries, and periods of scarce food. And through it all, one question continues to haunt you. Will you ever find a way back to your own time? Or is this now your reality, a human living among dinosaurs, a chronological castaway? As you ponder this question one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple, you hear a familiar humming sound, the same sound your time machine made before it brought you here. Your heart races as you scan the area, hoping against hope. And there it is, your time machine, shimmering into existence in the same clearing where you first arrived. It appears that whatever malfunction stranded you here has been corrected, and the machine has automatically returned to retrieve you. You approach cautiously, half expecting it to disappear again, or for some final Jurassic disaster to prevent your escape. But the machine remains solid, its door open, inviting you to return to your own time. As you prepare to leave, you take one last look at the prehistoric world around you. Despite all the hardships, there's a part of you that will miss this place, its primal beauty, its untamed wilderness, its incredible creatures that exist now only as fossils in your time. You've gained a new perspective on what it means to be human, not just a technological being insulated from nature, but a biological entity connected to the same web of life that includes everything from the smallest Jurassic mammal to the largest sauropod. You've experienced firsthand the world that existed long before humans, a world that continued perfectly well without us for millions of years. With these thoughts, you enter the time machine, input the coordinates for your own era, and activate the return sequence. The Jurassic world fades around you, replaced by the swirling vortex of time travel. When the vortex clears, you're back in your own time, your own world. The contrast is jarring: the noise, the pollution, the crowded spaces, the constant connectivity. But there's also hot showers, comfortable beds, readily available food and medicine when you're sick or injured. You step out of your time machine a changed person, carrying the memories of your Jurassic adventure and a deeper appreciation for both the natural world and the comforts of modern civilization. You've walked with dinosaurs and lived to tell the tale, though who would believe you? As you readjust to life in your own time, you find yourself looking at birds differently, recognizing in them the distant descendants of the dinosaurs you encountered. You appreciate every convenience from indoor plumbing to refrigeration with a gratitude born of experience. And sometimes, when you're stuck in traffic or waiting in line at the grocery store, you close your eyes and remember the sight of a brachiosaurus silhouetted against the sunset, and you smile at the secret knowledge you carry. Your time in the Jurassic has given you a unique perspective on humanity's place in Earth's history, just one chapter in a story that spans billions of years, featuring countless characters that have lived, evolved, and often gone extinct long before we arrived on the scene. It's a humbling thought, but also a comforting one. The world was beautiful before us, and in many ways it will continue without us. But for now, you're home with hot pizza, cold drinks, and no immediate danger of being eaten by a tyrannosaur. And really, what more could a time traveler ask for? The Jurassic period, stretching from about 201 to 145 million years ago, was a time of incredible biological diversity and geological change. The supercontinent Pangaea was breaking apart, creating new oceans and reshaping the land. The climate was generally warmer and more humid than today, with no polar ice caps and lush vegetation extending to high latitudes. This was truly the age of dinosaurs, when these magnificent reptiles dominated terrestrial ecosystems. The largest land animals ever to walk the earth, the sauropods, reached their peak during this time, with giants like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus browsing the treetops. Predatory theropods like Allosaurus ruled as apex predators, while armored herbivores like Stegosaurus developed elaborate defensive adaptations. But dinosaurs weren't the only remarkable creatures of the Jurassic. The skies were ruled by pterosaurs, with species like Ramphorhynchus gliding on leathery wings. The oceans teemed with marine reptiles such as plesiosaurs, ichthyosaurs, and plesiosaurs, some reaching lengths of over 50 feet. Plants during this period were predominantly gymnosperms conifers, cycads, ginkgos, and ferns. Flowering plants had not yet evolved, giving the Jurassic landscape an alien quality compared to modern ecosystems. These plants supported the massive herbivorous dinosaurs, which in turn supported the predatory species in a complex food web. The Jurassic was a time of evolutionary innovation and ecological complexity, setting the stage for the even more diverse Cretaceous period that would follow. It was a world both familiar and utterly alien recognizable in its basic ecological principles, yet populated by creatures that seem almost fantastical to modern eyes. For a time traveler from the 21st century, the Jurassic would present both wonders and terrors. The opportunity to witness living dinosaurs would be counterbalanced by the extreme dangers of a world where humans never evolved to be the dominant species. Every aspect of survival, finding food, water, and shelter, avoiding predators, treating injuries and illness would be exponentially more challenging without modern technology and infrastructure. Yet there would also be a profound beauty to experiencing a world untouched by human influence, pristine ecosystems, functioning as they did for millions of years before our species appeared. The night sky, unpolluted by artificial light, would reveal stars and celestial bodies in breathtaking clarity. The soundscape, free from mechanical noise, would be filled only with the calls of animals and the sounds of wind and water. Such an experience would inevitably change a person's perspective on humanity's place in Earth's history. We are but the latest chapter in a story that has been unfolding for billions of years, a story that included countless species that thrived, evolved, and eventually disappeared long before we arrived on the scene. The dinosaurs ruled Earth for over 150 million years, far longer than humans have existed. Their reign ended only because of an extraordinary cosmic accident, an asteroid impact that changed the planet's climate so dramatically that they could not adapt. Without that random catastrophe, it's entirely possible that dinosaurs would still dominate the planet today. And mammals might never have had the opportunity to diversify into the myriad forms we see in the modern world, including humans. This perspective of Earth's deep time and humanity's brief moment within it is perhaps the most valuable souvenir a time traveler could bring back from the Jurassic. It reminds us that while we may shape the planet profoundly during our time here, we are still part of a much larger story, one that began long before us and will continue long after we're gone. And yet, despite our brief tenure on Earth, we have achieved something unique: the ability to look back through time, to understand the history of our planet and the creatures that came before us. Through science, we can visit the Jurassic without a time machine, reconstructing its landscapes, climate, and inhabitants with increasing accuracy. We can walk with dinosaurs in our minds, if not with our feet. This capacity for understanding, for reaching across the vast gulfs of time to connect with Earth's past, is perhaps humanity's most remarkable achievement. It allows us to appreciate the incredible journey that led to our existence, and to recognize our responsibility as stewards of a planet with a rich and complex history. So while a real-time machine remains in the realm of science fiction, our scientific understanding of the Jurassic period continues to evolve and expand. Each new fossil discovery, each advance in analytical techniques, brings us closer to truly knowing what it was like when dinosaurs ruled the Earth. And in that knowledge, we find not just scientific understanding, but a deeper appreciation for the amazing planet we call home and the extraordinary story of life of which we are a part. The Jurassic world, with its towering sauropods, fearsome predators, and alien landscapes, may be lost to time, but it lives on in our collective imagination and scientific understanding. And perhaps that's the next best thing to actually being there. And just like that, our time machine ride comes to an end. We traveled back millions of years, met some incredible yet terrifying prehistoric creatures, and somehow made it back in one piece. Hopefully, you're still awake, or maybe not. That's totally fine too. Thanks for tuning in to the Sleep Story channel. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to subscribe for more sleepy adventures into history, science, and beyond. Until next time, rest easy and dream of dinosaurs. Ever wanted to be bored to sleep? You're welcome. Oh, hello there, fellow insomniac. I'm Nicole, and I've discovered my superpower, boring people to sleep with my voice. Not exactly what I dreamed of as a child, but hey, we take what we can get. Welcome to the Sleep Story, where history goes to die and your consciousness quickly follows. I started this channel after noticing my partner loves to pass out mid-conversation, regardless of what fascinating story I was sharing. Turns out, my naturally calm tone is apparently code for auditory ambient. So I thought, why limit this gift to just one person? Why not spread the joy of my sleep-inducing voice to strangers on the internet? Charitable, I know. Each video comes with my personal guarantee. If you're still awake after 20 minutes, you might be a robot. I've carefully crafted these historical tales to be just interesting enough that you don't immediately click away, but dull enough that your brain waves start flattering faster than a medieval peasant spotting the tax collector. If by some miracle you're still conscious by the end of a video, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, though I suspect most of my comments are just people who fell asleep on their keyboards. So go ahead, put me on, turn your brightness down, and let my voice guide you to dreamland while I explain why the Caesars of Rome were terrible people, or what pilgrim women did all day. I promise it's the most boring thing you'll hear all day, and that's entirely by design. Sleep well, my tired friends.